Hey TPT sellers, in this video, we're going to talk about the truth about conversion rate. Conversion rate gets a lot of attention in TPT land. My conversion rate is going up. My conversion rate is going down. What's a good conversion rate? It gets a lot of hype. And I don't think conversion rate means what we think it means. Yes, it's a rough estimate about what percentage of teachers who visit your product page actually end up buying. If I go to my TPT dashboard, I can change it from earnings to conversions. And I can see that during this time period compared to the previous year, my conversion rate is 3.9% compared to last year at this time period when it was 0.9%. So my conversion rate is up 329%. Woohoo! Well, what does that actually mean? We think that a good conversion rate means that more teachers are buying our stuff, and a conversion rate that goes down means that more teachers are not buying our stuff. And so it becomes a benchmark for how well my products are doing. But the danger with being a teacherpreneur is that it's hard to separate the products that we make because they're our babies, and it's hard to separate their success or their failure with our success and our failure. So inevitably, conversion rate becomes a conversation about how are we doing? Why do I think this? Well, because like it or not, we measure our success based on how much money we're making. At least many of us do. And I wonder this because when you hear advice from a TPT seller, if they don't make more than you, don't you put their advice in a little bit of a box? You're like, yeah, maybe that might work. Or if they make more than you, then don't we put them up on a pedestal and think, well, because they've made so much money and they've been successful doing it this way, then that must be the right way. There are many ways up the TPT journey mountain, in the same way that there are many ways to be successful in life. And of course, success in life doesn't have to be monetary success. It could be family success. It could be happiness, being happy with who we are. There's lots of benchmarks for success. But in this video, let's pretend that we can separate our success from our product success. That measure of conversion rate is a signal for how our products are doing. So then I hear comments like, oh no, my conversion rate is going down. Or sometimes it's grrr, followed by some sort of comment about how the TPT search algorithm has changed for the worse. If my conversion rate is going down and your conversion rate is going down, therefore TPT must be doing something, and that's bad. Sometimes you hear comments like, grrr, my conversion rate is 500%. And so TPT sellers might be upset that the numbers don't represent reality. Therefore, we can't trust the numbers. And boo, data. If only TPT would have better data systems. Maybe. Sometimes we have observations in TPT land like, oh no, my conversion rate is going down, but my sales are staying the same. What does that mean? Or it might be the other direction. Like, oh no, my page views are going up, but my sales are staying the same. Shouldn't I get more sales if my page views go up? Doesn't that make intuitive sense? Worse is when your sales are going down, but your conversion rate is the same. Well, what does that mean? The reason why there's all this confusion is because in a general sense, we know that conversion rate and page views can impact how much sales we make. So we keep an eye on conversion rate and page views because we think they're going to reflect or impact our sales. And yes, that's true to a certain extent. But in this video, we're going to talk about how conversion rate doesn't measure what you think it measures. And once you understand what it actually measures, it helps put things in perspective. My name is Mike Fuchigami. I'm the host of the SEOTpreneur YouTube community. This video is for TPT hamsters and TPT hawks. If you don't know what it takes to be a TPT hamster, check out that video up there. The reason why I say that this video is for hamsters and hawks is because if you're just starting out in the game, you don't have enough data. You'll see in this video that if your numbers are quite small, then anomalies and outliers can really become out of proportion, and you might have sales where you have a conversion rate of 200% or 500%, and that's just because your number of page views are so small. Even if you're a TPT hamster or TPT hawk, if you're looking at a product in a certain time window and you don't have enough page views, then it might be too early to make informed decisions. And before you ask what's the magic number of page views that you need, pick a number from 100 to 1,000. Just choose a benchmark. Some people like 300. Some people like 1,000 because it's a nice round number. There is a specific number that you need in order to figure out if something is statistically different. But that number depends on how large of an impact you're trying to measure, and it's really a case-by-case thing. So I might as well choose 100 page views as my benchmark before I make a decision, not because it's scientifically accurate, but because I need some sort of rule of thumb to be able to make decisions, so I'm not constantly worrying about this. But you could choose 300 page views or 1,000 page views. whatever makes you happy. If you are later on in the game, by all means watch this video. Just understand that your time is probably worth more than your money. And at that point, find me at SEOT.consulting for one-on-one conversations. In this video, we're going to talk about the TPT conversion rate. We'll go over what we think it means, and then I'll talk about what it's actually measuring. And then we'll go over some scenarios where it's possible to make a sale without it counting as a page view. Crazy, right? And I'm not just talking about glitches on TPT's end. I'll show you a very common way that teacher buyers can buy from your store and it doesn't count as a page view. So what do we think TPT conversion rate actually means? As we talked about in the introduction, it's a very rough indicator of how well our products are doing. As you've seen in a previous episode, here's a TPT sales funnel. We start with a page view. A teacher lands on your product page. Maybe they came from TPT organic search. Maybe they came from Facebook ads. Maybe they came from your email newsletter. Somehow they land on your TPT product page. And by TPT product page, I mean something like this. This is the product page for the TPT Sellers Tips and Tricks Ultimate Bundle. And if another teacher was to land on this page, it would count as a page view. It doesn't count as a page view for me because I am signed in, and because of your efforts and that video up there, TPT amended the way that they track TPT seller visits so that we don't count towards our own metrics. Check out the video at the top. In general, when a teacher lands on your product page, it counts as a page view. And in our dashboard, if we change the metric to views, these are page views. Or another way to look at this is if I go to product statistics and if I click on activity, here's another way to look at page views. After the teacher lands on your product page, they might check out your product preview because they're interested in buying your resource. If I go to my dashboard and I change the metric to, they don't have previews. They have preview video plays, which I find really interesting, but you can't see the number of previews from the dashboard. So they landed on your product page, they read your description, they think it's a product that fits their needs, they check out your preview PDF, and then if everything checks out and the perceived value of the resource is higher than the perceived cost of the resource, then they buy, and that takes us to units sold. They check out, the transaction is completed, and we hear that ka-ching sound. So I'm in incognito mode, and if I was to add this to cart and then complete the sales transaction, TPT knows that I've made the purchase. That gets registered as a unit sold. And then in the dashboard, if I change the metric to units sold, TPT knows exactly what's sold because they have a sales record. So then to help us out, TPT calculates the conversion rate, which is the number of units sold divided by the number of page views. Again, if I go to the dashboard and change the metric to conversions, I can see what my conversion rate is on any specific day. The daily conversion rate fluctuates, so really it's better to average it over time. So I can see that this month to date, my conversion rate is 3.9%. And if I click on my entire store to see my resources sorted by conversion rate, you can see I have a product that has a 200% conversion rate during this month. So we assume that the conversion rate is accurate, that it represents the percentage of teachers who look at our product and ended up buying. We assume that this number is a true account of what's happening. But of course, there are always assumptions. And in this video, I'm going to show you some of the assumptions that are made and where there are flaws in those assumptions and how that affects our data. Now, if you have lots of numbers, if you have 10,000 page views, these small outliers don't really impact your numbers. But for many of us who only have a handful of page views in a short window of time, then these outlier scenarios really impact the numbers, and that's how you can get 200% as a conversion rate. Let's talk about what we're really measuring when we talk about conversion rate. There are two different tracking systems, and one of these tracking systems doesn't capture all of the visits. The data will be less accurate. So the first tracking system is called Google Analytics 4. TPT switched over in July 2024. When you land on a product page, it sends a signal to Google Analytics that, hey, there was a page view. Here's what it looks like. Google up Google Tag Assistant. It'll be the first link, so click on Google Tag Assistant. Anyone can do this, and we can use this developer tool to check out what TPT's website looks like. So I'm going to click Add a Domain. I'm going to go to the Teachers Pay Teachers website. I'm going to copy the link at the top, and I'm going to paste in that domain. And then I'm going to click Connect. And it's connecting to Teachers Pay Teachers in a separate window. It says, hey, Tag Assistant is connected, so I'll close this message. I'll move this window to the right-hand side. I'll put the Tag Assistant on the left-hand side. So it's connected. I can see there's a few Google tags that are found. I'm going to choose their Google Analytics tag, which starts with a G and then a dash. I'm going to click on my citizenship resource. On the left-hand side, I can see here one of the tags says page view. So right now, the TPT website sent a message to the Google Analytics server saying, hey, there was a page view event. They have a section here called page view tracker. That's not it because it says here no hits were sent by this tag. It's under history change, and there's my page view event. If you're looking closely, this is event number 32. If I refresh this page, it loaded a bunch of code on the left-hand side, and I can see that there is now a new history change event, event number 51, that has a page view. So that's right. Refreshing the page sends a new event to TPT, and this will count as a new page visit. I'm going to refresh this page again because it didn't load properly. And now on the left-hand side here, this is event number 73. Here is the page view again. So it's sending a separate page view every time you refresh the page. I'm going to click on the summary here, and I can see there's a page view event here, another page view event, a third page view event. So these are all counting as separate things. And if I go to my dashboard and I click on page views, remember the dashboard's only updated a few times per day. It's not live, so I won't see my numbers change. And in fact, my numbers won't change because I'm signed in. And now you're asking, well, but Mike, didn't you say you just fired a page view to Google Analytics? And it did. I think there must be some code in there that includes my TPT seller type, and then it doesn't report it in our metrics that we see in our dashboard. I think it shows up on their metrics because then they can see how often TPT sellers visit their own stuff. So when a teacher lands on your product page, the TPT website sends a signal to Google Analytics saying, hey, this was a page view, count it as a page view. And then the next step is the teacher clicks on your preview because they're excited by your product. So when they open the preview, it sends a signal to Google Analytics saying, hey, this person also clicked on preview. Here's what it looks like if we use developer tools to figure out what's going on. Notice how it says page view down here in the bottom left-hand corner. I'm going to go to this product and I'm going to click on view preview. And do you see now it says preview item in the bottom left-hand corner? That's a summary of a hit that it sent to Google Analytics. So looking at the preview sends an event to Google Analytics 4. When the teacher decides to buy your product, it's not using Google Analytics 4 to report that information. TPT knows that the unit was sold right away. Why do I think TPT is using a different system and not Google Analytics 4? Because when I change the metric to units sold, it doesn't have a warning that this is updated only a few times per day. If I change it to earnings, it doesn't show that disclaimer that these stats are only updated a few times per day. And that's because earnings and units sold show up immediately when they happen. Whereas if I go back here and change it to views, I get this message, data refreshed a few times per day. And my take on that is it's only connecting to the Google Analytics servers only a couple times per day. Metrics that are measured by Google Analytics have this disclaimer. Conversion rate has this disclaimer, and that's because it's dependent on page views. But units sold doesn't have this disclaimer. So when you make a sale on TPT, that's recorded in a different database. The formula for conversion rate is the number of units sold, which is measured on the TPT database, divided by the number of page views, which is measured by Google Analytics 4. TPT knows exactly how many units were sold because it has the credit card transaction. So units sold is an exact number that TPT can reliably look at. However, Google Analytics 4, which measures the page views, those numbers are impacted by privacy blocking tools. If the website doesn't correctly send a signal to Google Analytics that there was a page view, then that number gets misrepresented in Google Analytics 4. So if you have a browser that is blocking the Google Analytics 4 signal, then your number of page views are actually going to be a lot smaller. This is where you might have impossible conversion rates of 200% or 500%. If one person visits, but your conversion rate is 500%, that means in theory, you're saying one person looked at the product and 5 people ended up buying. Maybe. Part of me wonders, well, what happens if that one person buys 5 licenses? And I don't know the answer to that. That might actually be another thing that's happening here. I know there are some very engaged members of the SEOTpreneur YouTube community. So anytime you have a conversion rate that's over 100%, I'd be very curious if you look at your sales data, if you have actually multiple units sold in that one transaction. If you've learned something new, can you please like the video? It really does encourage me to make more videos like this to help you out. Thanks for the like. Let's look at a few different ways that you can make a sale without triggering a page view. The moment you have a conversion rate that's over 100%, our first instinct is to say, hey, it's not working properly. Grr. And that might be true. There could be a TPT glitch, and I'll look at an example of that. But the system could be working correctly, in which case it's not a glitch, and then there has to be some other reason why the page views numbers are incorrect. If something weird is happening with your conversion rate, it could be because TPT has an error in sending that page view event to Google Analytics 4. So if I refresh, here's the page view signal. So if there was a glitch in the code and it didn't send that page view signal, then there would be no record of it on the Google Analytics 4 side, and we wouldn't know that there was a page view. The other glitch that happens, and I've seen this happen a few times, is where the information gets sent correctly to Google Analytics. There's an error in the reporting system on TPT's dashboard or in their products.csv file, and that causes some issues. So let's look at a real-world example of a glitch in reporting. Today is December 26, 2024, but if I go to my product statistics page and click on activity and sort it by my page views, oh, they fixed it. Yeah, that's 58,873. So that difference is probably just systems updating, but that's not what it was. Wow, they literally just fixed it. I'm going to download this file. I'm going to open it up on my computer. This is product number 45. I think they just fixed it because when I was preparing this video a couple of hours ago, it was 52,000. How do I know that the page views for the reading bundle was 52,000? So I made this tool called selfservedatatool.com. If I log in, see the difference. I'm going to click and drag my products.csv file here. That's from today. I'm going to upload it to the data warehouse. It's uploading. It's done. So I'm now going to view my data. I'm going to change my product to look at my reading strategy resource. And then I'm going to look at the data for the last night. If I scroll down, yeah, they just fixed it. What this tool is doing is it's looking at all the product stats files that I've uploaded to the data warehouse. And it's just looking at this one resource. It's resource number 45 for me, my reading comprehension resource. And I can see here that on October 1st, I had 55,000 page views. And as I scroll down on October 9th, I have 56,000 page views. On October 27th, I have 57,000 page views. So I can see these numbers are getting bigger. On December 17th, I have 58,000 page views. And then on December 20th, I have 52,000 previews. So it's dropped in the number of page views when I downloaded that file on December 20th. And then right now, December 26th, it's now back up to 58,000 page views. So they fixed the glitch, which I love. That's awesome. Thank you, Team TPT. And when the next glitch happens, because we're human and mistakes happen, and these are large systems that people are working with, the number of views on the dashboard was different from the number of page views on the product stats page. So sometimes for whatever reason, the code that they're using to query the database, there's a glitch in the numbers, but just the reporting that they're doing, there's some sort of glitch. And then we just send a note to TPT support saying, hey, here's what I see on my page views. Here's what I see in my dashboard. They're different. Is there a glitch? And then they fix it for everyone. So yes, if the page views or the conversion rates are off, it could be because there's a glitch by TPT. That happens. But it could also be that the page views and conversion rates are off, not because of anything that TPT has done, but for another reason. So it's not a glitch. I'm going to show you two different examples. One could be because the teacher has a privacy extension installed on their browser that's blocking the Google Analytics signal. And then the other way I'm going to show you is if you use an iPhone. So let's see how that Google Analytics 4 page view event is sent in these two circumstances. I'm going to Google up how to block a Google Analytics extension. Here's the official one. Google Analytics opt-out add-on by Google. I have it on my browser, but I'm now going to enable it. So it's up here in the top corner. I'm going to go to the Tag Assistant again. I can see up here my Google Analytics opt-out add-on is in color, so it's turned on. Let's move this to the side here. Google Analytics has loaded. And in the summary here, I already see that there were no hits sent by this Google Analytics tag. I'm going to click on this citizenship resource again. I'm going to go to history change where the page view tag was before. And it says here, no hits were sent by this tag. So this Google Analytics opt-out add-on by Google is blocking signals from the TPT website to the Google server. On the TPT website, if I scroll to my citizenship resource, I can see on the left-hand side, it loaded. Here's my New Year, New Me classroom citizenship resource. And if I click on history change, I can see this time that no hits were sent. The page view signal didn't get sent to Google Analytics. Try reloading this TPT page again, reloaded it. Event number 50 here is the history change. No hits were sent. What if I click on that preview? So I'm going to click on view preview and I can see here in the history, no hits were sent. And if I go to the summary, no signals were sent from the TPT website on my computer to Google Analytics. So if a teacher has a privacy setting that blocks Google Analytics. When they visit your product pages, it's not going to count as a page view. iPhone has some very strict privacy settings, and it can block trackers from tracking your activities online, which is great if you're a consumer, but not so great if you're a TPT seller and you're trying to get a sense of how buyers are interacting with your product pages. So here's my phone. I'm on iOS 18. Here I am in Safari. I'm going to turn my phone sideways just so it's easier to read. In the last 7 days, Safari has prevented 75 trackers from profiling you. So that includes things like Google Analytics. Here's the Google Tag Assistant website that we were using earlier. I'm going to try to visit teacherspayteachers.com. There we go. The page loaded, and I can see that the Tag Assistant is connected. If I go back to the Tag Assistant for Google, it says it's connected, so I'm going to hit continue. Now, this first GTM code is for the Google Tag Manager. We're not looking at that. We're looking at the second one that starts with a G, and this is for Google Analytics, and I can see the analytics symbol is there. If I scroll down, I can see, look right here, page view. It was able to receive a signal from this page view. Now, if I go to the citizenship resource, I can see that the Google Tag Assistant is still connected. Let's minimize that. And if I go to the Tag Assistant page, I can see on the left-hand side, here's my new year, new me. And if I click on the history change button here, I can see there's a page view. And if I show you that page view, here's Google Analytics receiving the information about this page view, which is great. Now, Safari also has a private mode. And if I go to this private mode, it says private browsing adds additional privacy protections for your tab. Let's see how it interacts with Google Tag Manager. I'm now in private browsing. Here's the Tag Assistant website. There's the domain for teacherspayteachers.com. I'm going to click that connect button, and the website loaded, but it's not showing me the Google Analytics Tag Manager connecting. And it says it's trying to connect this window to teacherspayteachers.com, which is interesting. And then it says, could not connect to teacherspayteachers.com. A timeout occurred while attempting to connect. It says there are currently no debuggable Google tags at this address. Please verify that there is a Google tag on the page, and we know there is because we saw one when I wasn't in privacy mode. The Google tag is not a legacy tag. We don't have to worry about that because it worked fine on the other one. And then this is the important one. The Google tag is not being blocked. Example, by a browser extension or a consent dialog. So I think what we're seeing here is that my iPhone in private mode is blocking Google Analytics on teacherspayteachers.com. If I go to my Safari settings on my phone and scroll down and click on advanced settings, there's a section for privacy, and it says advanced tracking and fingerprinting protection. The default setting is private browsing, but some people might set this for all browsing. So it looks like in this case, the iPhone is blocking that page view signal from getting to the Google Analytics server, which means that sometimes people can buy a product, but it won't send a signal that there's a page view. And so TPT will accurately report that, hey, you just sold a product, but because of privacy blocking on the teacher's browser or their phone, Google Analytics never finds out that there was a page view event. So then your conversion rate's going to be skewed. And this might be how it's possible to have a 200% conversion rate. So if I go to my dashboard, and you can do this at home too, change the metric to conversions and look at your products, and it'll show you conversion rate with the highest ones at the top. Do you have any conversion rates that are higher than 100%? So I'm going to deselect everything except for this simple sentence lessons activity. I can see that the conversion rate is 200%. If I look at units sold, I sold one on December 4th and I sold one on December 16th. And if I go to page views, I have a page view on December 10th, which isn't the 4th or the 16th. Weird, right? Those units sold are on different days, so it can't be that multiple units were purchased at one day. And then I started wondering, is it possible to buy a resource without actually looking at the product page? So here's the resource in question. It's a bundle. Let's look at it when I'm not signed in. So it's possible to look at previews without looking at the page view. And it's possible to view bundles. But when I view the bundle, I go to the page. Oh, you know what you could do? You could add to cart. That's how you could do it. If I search up grammar resources here, I can add to cart a bundle without actually going to the page view. And so here's a legitimate way that you can do it, right? Like I just click add to cart, but I didn't go to the page view, so it didn't count as a page view. So this has nothing to do with privacy. It's technically possible to purchase a product without looking at that page. And so someone who's doing a search on TPT and they're on the search page, they can add to cart without actually looking at the product page. Like, wow, this is exactly what I want. Click add to cart. And boom, they can buy the product without looking at the page view. So this conversion rate at 200%, if we go to units sold, it's possible that the person who bought it on December 4th didn't look at the page view, because here's the page view. It's not on the 4th. They could have bought it directly from the search page, or maybe they have privacy settings turned on and it didn't send the page view signal, or maybe there was a glitch and it didn't send the page view signal. Kind of crazy, kind of cool. This is an issue for me because if I look at page views, I had one page view this month. The numbers are so small that it's hard to take this data reliably. And this is why at the beginning of the video, I said, hey, whatever that magic number is for you, whether it's 100 or 300 or 1,000 page views, don't make data decisions until you hit that benchmark. For those of you who have the self-serve data tool, if you click on advanced, one of my favorite features about this is I can change the page views so that it shows at least 1,000 page views. So if I wanted to make data-informed decisions and I say, hey, I only want to look at products that have 1,000 page views, now I can quickly see, hey, here are the resources that are probably statistically significant. Let's now make some data-informed decisions. If you learned something new, can you please subscribe? This is the kind of stuff that we talk about on this channel, stuff that other channels aren't talking about. If you've already subscribed, thank you for watching. Can you leave a comment and let me know what was new in this video for you? And that helps me make more content that's new. By the way, are you on a Mac? Or do you use Android? Because I would love to find out what happens when you use Google Tag Assistant. When you visit a page, does it send a signal to Google Analytics or does it get blocked because of the privacy settings? Here are some TPT data takeaways. The big one is that if your page views are low, your data is more unreliable. You can still look for proof of concept that something is working, but you might want to set a personal number where if the page views are under a certain number, you don't look at the numbers. You might think about setting a threshold like 100 page views or 300 page views or 1,000 page views. And if you don't have that many page views, then you won't make any decisions based on the data because the numbers are too small. Let's go over the 4 reasons we talked about how you can get a conversion rate that's over 100%. First one is TPT made a mistake. They're human. There are glitches. We all make mistakes. So if you notice a glitch in the data, just email TPT support and let them know that there's a glitch. The second way is that if a teacher visiting your product is using a browser that has strong privacy settings, then the privacy settings might block the page view signal from getting to Google Analytics. The signal doesn't get to Google Analytics, it doesn't show up in your data, and that will skew your conversion rate. Another theory I have, and I haven't thought this through too carefully, so those of you who are watching, leave a comment, but maybe if someone buys additional licenses at the checkout, they might buy 3 licenses. So does that count as 3 units sold, even though they had only 1 page view? You'll have to dig into your sales data to see if that's the case. We also looked at how you can buy a product without actually looking at the page view. And that's because you can buy products directly from the search page without going to the product page. We only talked about 2 metrics in this video. We talked about conversion rate. We talked about page views. What we didn't talk about is the product preview rate and the preview effectiveness rate. If you want a free way to look at these 4 numbers for any of your products, just search up TPT Seller on TPT, go to the Ultimate Bundle. In the Ultimate Bundle, it's product number 19. This is a free Google Sheet version of the Self-Serve Data Tool website. Get a copy of the Google Sheet tool, upload your product stats file, and then click on the Self-Serve Data Tool TPT version. And I can see for any of my products, like that reading strategy resource, I can see the number of page views, the preview rate, the preview effectiveness rate, as well as the overall conversion rate. Sometimes I get asked, what's a good preview effectiveness rate or what's a good preview rate? And sure, there are some numbers floating around in TPT land, but think about this as you're in a race against yourself. So if I look at my store average, the preview effectiveness rate for my store average is 7.9%. The preview effectiveness of this reading resource is 9.4%. So this preview does a better job than my other previews. On the other hand, my preview rate for this reading resource is 23% and my store average is 30%. So if I want to improve that preview rate, I just click on that number and it'll give me some suggestions on what I can do to improve the preview rate. If you want a more structured approach to learn how to read your data so you know what to fix in your store, check out the Bucket Repair Bootcamp. Go to the selfservedatatool.com website and click on Bootcamp. The January Bootcamp is starting very soon. And as a Christmas present to you, right now you can save 20% and crush your TPT seller goals in 2025 using the promo code up here. We know from the November Bootcamp that there are 2 awesome parts of the Bootcamp. The first one is you get to learn how to use the data. The second one is you get feedback from other TPT sellers like you who are looking at your resources from the perspective of a buyer. Our Sunday Zoom classes are at 3 p.m. on Eastern Time. The warm-up class, which is optional, but I suggest you check it out. That warm-up class is this Sunday at 3 p.m., Sunday, December 29th, 2024. We'll look at how to use the tools And then next week, we'll look at previews. And then the following week, we'll use data to figure out which products need better thumbnails and descriptions. In the third week, I'll show you how to use data to figure out which titles and covers and snippets need to be fixed. In the fourth week, we'll talk about keywords. And then in the last week, I'll show you some advanced stuff. So if you're interested, selfservedatatool.com, check out the discount code, and I'll see you on Sunday. Have a great week, everyone. Bye-bye now.